Hello, Kaylee. Welcome to another Minecraft video about our world. You wanted a tour, so here you go. Ahead of us is the wood house where my brother and I first started. It started off as a little tiny witch's hut and is located next to our auto farm that we talked about the other day. The witch's hut we slowly built up over time until it became a fairly large house instead of just a little tiny hut. Inside we had, lots of crafting stuff, a place for doing enchanting, a map of the local area that we'd explored, and started making an area where we wanted to put, like brewing stations and things like that, but never really got around to it because by the time we got to this point, we kind of just moved out. Upstairs we had a pair of beds that we would sleep in and a little access to the roof. We built the roof out of stone so that it wouldn't be subject to lightning strikes. Close by we had a tree farm. The island off in the distance over there, that's where we would start as players. So since we started on this little tiny island, we swam across over to the closest land, which is over here, and this is where we started. We ended up making a little sugarcane farm nearby, so if we needed sugarcane, we could get it. And eventually made paths out of lily pads in order to make it so we could get over to solid land more easily. Coming over to the solid land, we have our auto farm that we've talked about before. And right now we don't have anything planted on it, but it's just as big and marvelous as it always is. We have a little tree at the end for growing some cocoa, and we have some pineapples that grow over here. Not pineapples, watermelons that grow over here. We have a couple of sheep in case we need wool, and some horses that are around. Just a little house for the herd keeper to live in if you wanted to. Not that there's really a herd keeper. And then we have our cow farm. Our cow farm has a box just inside of it, and that box has a fire aspect sword, so that when we kill the cows, it will automatically cook the meat for us, and we won't have to worry about cooking it later. And is where we store any spare meat after we finish cooking. We'll also usually keep some bits of wheat here, but at the moment we don't have any wheat to keep. And then there's a little stairwell that goes down here. This layer of torches represents two things to us. One, back here is where we store all the crops that come from the auto farm. You've seen this area before in the last video. And then in the other direction, we have our zombie spawner. And our zombie spawner basically takes a naturally occurring zombie cube and some layers of glass, and the zombies are pushed down and into a little trap area. And once they're in the trap area, we can lower the block, kill them. Experience comes to us, and any loot will go into the collection system. So the hoppers then suck down the loot. And if we go back around behind the enchanting table, there's a staircase that leads down. It's fairly simple. It just comes straight down, each one feeding into a box, and anything that doesn't get fed into the box can be pulled down to the next level. So you end up with items that the zombies drop going into there, and then one spare thing in case we just need to store something off to the side. If we go back over to the stairs, we take them all the way down. You come to the grate underneath. And this is basically where we've gone through and we've done a lot of mining to dig long and far in many directions. It goes off that way, it goes off the other way. And this is where our first central bank was, where we'd collect stuff and have items for everyone available. We sorted it by what we thought we wanted in it and had a little ender chest here for everyone to use. Straight across from it is the central station, which is where you come to go to other people's houses. So when it was working properly, it would drop a cart down here for you and automatically place it there. You'd come over here and you would choose where you wanted to go. So if you wanted to go to my tower and Gail's house, you'd go to this one. If you wanted to go to Kiki's tree house, you'd go to this one. If you wanted to go to Leah's temple, you'd go over to this one. To change where you're going, you just press this button, and a set of redstone stuff moves to the point of light is. The redstone for doing this is very complicated and took me quite a bit of time to do. Once it gets to the end, you push it, it comes back to the beginning. Push it one more time, and it will go to our first destination. Before I hop on the cart, just so I can show you where the redstone is for it, back here is the mechanical room, and this whole room of redstone is what is required to make that little button instead of switches work. So it's very complicated, but eventually it comes out to this cart set, and the cart will go where you tell it to go. So we hop on here, it's set to my house and Gail's house, and off we go. So if you're going to Lee's temple, you would curve off there. If you're going to Key's house, you'd curve off that way. Gail and I are both off in this direction, so this is where we will take the ride to. Alright, so now we come to a stop where you determine whether you want to go to Gail's or to my house. We're going to start off at my house. We'll go to Gail's in just a little bit. Hit the button again. And as you can see, we've carved out a lot of space underground. This is all at level 5. You see the bedrock kind of poking through at the bottom here. Basically, level 5 is the highest level that bedrock will come to, which means that we don't end up with an uneven ground, because the worst case scenario, we just come across bedrock. Alright. Take my cart with me. So, we have a rail track that goes off to Cynthia's house here, and a rail track that goes off to Gail's house here, and then a rail track that goes up to the castle here. Later on we'll come back down this rail cart and I will show you how that runs, but we will take that back down instead of taking it up right now. I'm going to show you the tower here first. So the start of my castle was this tower here. And this tower runs all the way up into the sky, but inside is my forge. And in my forge I have boxes on top that you put cobblestone or other things that you want to melt into them. And then you put on the side buckets of lava, and both of them will feed into your little furnace here. The furnace will then process it, and this hopper will pull anything that the furnace has finished out of it and deposit into this chest here. And so I basically have a room dedicated towards doing furnace work and smelting things into other stuff that I need. And then these are just boxes to store the stuff that comes out or things that are waiting to be smelted. So I only have 10 in this stack, so I'm going to wait until I have a full stack to smelt it. Going upstairs one floor, you have my ender portal here. We'll do the end in a little bit, possibly in another episode. A way out one side, and a way out another side. So you can go, venture and start looking around the other areas that we've carved out. We're going to go out this side real quick, and head all the way down to the end of this hallway to the skeleton spawner. The skeleton spawner is built in a similar fashion to the zombie spawner, but the zombie spawner was an early version of it. Down here we found a skeleton spawning cube, and instead of just building it normally, we went ahead and we put redstone lights on each side of it. As long as the lights are on, the skeletons will not spawn. So it makes it so that it doesn't drop skeletons unless we wanted to. You can turn the skeleton spawner on either by stepping on this block here, or by throwing this switch here. Once you step on it, the lights up above go off, and skeletons start falling into the trap. Once again, you just wait for some skeletons to fall in, open up the trap door, and kill off the skeletons inside. That gives us experience and drops the items into the hopper system. For this building, the hopper comes down here, and then it feeds around the roof, all the way around behind this block here, so that there's lots of chests for the loot to drop into, so that as things go in, we don't end up with overflow. So eventually you get to the point where there's chests that are only partially full. Those are chests of bone blocks, for example, that we've assembled. And we'll go through from time to time and do some cleanup where we take bows that are partially built and combine them into full bows and things like that. Take the bones, turn them into bone blocks. Just general maintenance. It has to be done every now and then. We'll head back up this way and continue our way up the tower. Alright. Coming back to the tower, we continue up. There's nothing on this floor currently because I haven't decided what I want to go on it. This is our map room and our alchemy lab. So we've got a pair of alchemy stations, some chests to store the supplies, a pot of water so you can grab it from there, and then an infinite water source so that we can fill up the pot of water. Here you have some of the maps that we've made and put side by side so you can kind of see the layout of the world. Cynthia's house is all the way down here. I'm located right here. Gail's here. Kia's here. And Leah is here. And then my brother Tom is someplace up here. He just kind of ran off and did stuff on his own. Going up here, this is my personal bank. This is basically where I store everything that I need to live on a daily basis or just keep in storage where it's safe. I have an ender chest here, so I can repair items. I've got my anvil and my crafting chest. Continuing up, we have a floor that isn't entirely used yet. Another one that's not used. As a matter of fact, we got a bunch that aren't used, so I'm just going to run right by them. So somewhere around here, I have the path to our underwater temple. I don't remember what floor it's on, though. It's been a while since I've gone to it. So we'll come back to the underwater temple later. So coming here, this is the ground floor for the 3 towers that we've talked about that are just in front of the castle. So you've got, the rivers from that castle, not this one. So going further up this tower, we've got the throne room, guard to the side, throne, my asana, and my throne, and a banner that my friend made me. And eventually I want to put guards all over the place in the tower, covered in iron armor, because it's cool. But I haven't gotten around to it yet, so I just have the thing standing in place. This is my royal bedchamber. Obviously, it's actually made out of marble and nether brick, but it looks like a bed, so I went ahead and made it. And I have a little table here with some chairs. And if I really want to sleep here, I can sleep right here. As a matter of fact, I'll do that to reset it today. So looking at my window here, you can see Gail's house over there. Here's one tower, the other tower, and the big castle. Going upstairs, this is my upper crafting room and access to the first parapet. So I can go outside, look around, and just kind of have fun outside. If I go back inside, there's another stairwell that leads up to my enchanting room. It's basically my library. Past the library, we have kind of some guest quarters here, so eventually I'll put in some beds and some other things. This is also set up to be a guest quarters. Not that it's really necessary in Minecraft to have guest rooms, but it's fun to make them anyways. So this is the top of the tower, and it's at the same height as the top of that tower and at the top of that tower there. So there are several towers that all have the exact same height on them. Eventually that tower will be finished and it will go up this high, but I'm not quite there yet. If we go over to our other tower, up here, this is actually supposed to be covered, but it's the old secret entrance to my base. So if I wanted to get down to the lower area, I could go through here and make a secret entrance. There used to be a switch right there, and it would open up the wall right here, and I could sneak off, but I had to take it apart for something else, and I never got around to putting it back together. But it was pretty neat at the time. So that used to lead all the way down. As a matter of fact, it probably still does. And we'll go up this tower. So when I first moved in here, I put the base for the towers in, and I had my bed in this room, and so I had my own little private bedroom with a fireplace, and this is where I did most of my crafting of things. And, it took a long time to get all the stone that we needed, but here is the view out over to where Gail was building her house, and it's just a nice little patio for my starting area. And then I had a room to have another bedroom back here if I wanted to. Going upstairs, I have a window and then another space with a window just to do whatever I want with it. And then you came to the first parapet. Look around, see what's going on. So this tower is very similar from this point forward to the other tower, where I basically built several rooms that were meant to be guest chambers that people could come and stay in. Not that, once again, people really need to stay the night in the game, but it was fun to design it as if they were going to come stay the night. And then eventually we reach the top of the tower. So from here, jumping really does hurt quite a bit. So I'm not going to jump off, but this is, seeing the castle in snow, and you'll see a lot more of the castle once we get over there. Right now the clouds are cutting into pieces, but that's okay. I forgot to show you I was there, but I'll show you just 1 second. So if I continue out that door and down the side, I have a little dock right there and a box with boats in it so that I can then take a boat over to Gail's house or go anywhere I want in a boat, really. So this little passage down here leads to the base of a castle I haven't built yet. So that's going to have another tower going up there, but I just haven't gotten around to building it. I've got a lot of work to do on this place still, but it's coming along. So going up 2 floors, you have the unfinished castle that has the bridge into the big castle. Most of these things are built with steps on top of steps, as we talked about before. So that little L shape there is 1 step. That's an upside down step. That's a right side up step. And then just some blocks going across, and the same type thing going down the other side. So that's how I do a lot of my designs. I like to use steps to make it so that things look interesting and a little more curvy than they would with just regular blocks. So we're going to start with the Mage's Tower, which is located here. Just inside here is a little guard shack for guards to stay in. Not that there's actual guards, but it's fun to pretend. Coming up here, you have your first look over the town where all the villagers would be and where they spend their time. Moving up here, this is what I call the Wizard's Tower. So right now I have a block out of it, but this is a giant nether portal. And it's the maximum size a nether portal can be. I took it apart momentarily because I was trying to get my portals to reconnect in a different manner than they were already. If we go up here, got just several little rooms where people can stay and climb the tower, and more, little private bedrooms and things like that. And we come out on top of the Wizard's Tower, just above the cloud line. Once again, you get a nice view down on the town. You can see the bay and all the other different buildings that we're going to go visit. But we'll get to all that in a little bit. That's not very safe. I should really close this off. So down here behind the nether portal, we have one of my storage rooms. Behind the storage room, we do have access to the castle wall going across the one side. And if I go the other direction, we have access to the castle wall going towards the village. So we're going to be heading into the village now, but that's how I get up onto the walls if I need to run around the walls. This is back to the bridge that we came in on, so that's where we came from earlier. Coming in, on the right-hand side, the first thing we have is we have a day spa. People can come, relax in the spa, little saunas and heating rooms for us to enjoy. Some changing rooms so that people can get changed in private. And outside the day spa is Key's Church of the Triforce, which if you're familiar with Zelda, you'll recognize the Triforce. And then over here we have our leather shop. I currently have a fence post there to keep the villager from getting out because I want to keep the villager that sells leather in a leather shop. And then down here we have just another general purpose home, a little bed inside. On the right we have our blacksmith shop, so he's got his forge, and if you go upstairs it's got a little kitchenette type thing and a sleeping quarters upstairs. For a while we had a blacksmith trapped in here too. And then down here, once again, just a spare little house with a little kitchenette type thing and some sleeping quarters upstairs. There's a cellar underneath the blacksmith house in case we want to put something spooky in a cellar someplace at some time. This is the orphanage. So if we break this, oop, he got out. Oh well, I guess he's out. So we had some people that we had living in the orphanage. There's a couple in here still. And then there's some private chambers back there. This is basically the playroom for the orphanage, and this is a balcony that you can go out onto. And then upstairs we have lots of stuff. Beds are for villagers only. Death will happen because if you actually try to sleep on these beds, it will kill your character. You'll drown to death. A little balcony out there. A little private room in here that we were probably going to put a toilet into. And then there's a ladder that goes up to even more beds upstairs. So we've got lots of beds for the poor little kids that live in the orphanage. This is the bed for the warden of the orphanage. And then this is just a little balcony for anyone who wants to go outside but not be in the rain. So then there's another balcony down here. That's the orphanage. Looking down the street, we've got several houses, and we actually named the streets so we can say go to this address or go to that address. And there's lots of houses along the way to just make it pretty. And, there are some places where we've got multi-floored houses, so there's a small room up here for someone to sleep in, and separated quarters. It's all very tight. We have lots of golems that like to hang around. The house that's up here. Oh, that's right, we trapped somebody in there as well. We do that occasionally to try and make sure the population stays spread out. Otherwise, sometimes they'll all gather in one little place. This is the inn. It used to have a lot of tables in it, but the villagers kept getting stuck, so we had to take the tables out of the inn. Actually, that was the restaurant. The inn is right here. So, this is the inn. And you sign in at the front desk here. There's a fireplace for guests to enjoy, and a little storage room back here. And then past the storage room, we've got some places where they can order some drinks and sit and eat. You can go upstairs to the rooms, and you have a place to keep your stuff and some beds that are available. And secretly, behind the storage room, there's a little button back here that's hidden. If you open it up, it leads to the secret sewer access. So that leads to outside. This is actually coal blocks behind here to make it look like the tunnel keeps going, but it doesn't. And there's, a lot of places that you can get to from the sewers. But among them, that's a dead end, is this one. And this one takes you out to one of our underwater monuments. And the underwater monument is where we do our fish spawn farming. So the guardians will fall into the trap that's up ahead, and that allows us to farm things like sea lanterns. Say hello to Cluck. This is Cluck, our vicious sewer chicken. He has lived here for many years. That's right, Cluck, I stole your egg. So if you want to sleep here, you can, just so you can respawn in the area. And basically we went into an underwater temple and we took out all the walls so that the place was large and open. We made a safe place if we needed to hide. We could just go inside here, about 2 blocks, and we would be safe. And then what you have is you have our fish spawner. What will happen is up there, all the fish are forced to fall down on top of the glass. And once they fall on top of the glass, they push them all towards the center, right there. And once they fall through the center there, through the signs, they bounce around inside here, and they bounce against the cactuses, which hurt them. Eventually, the cactuses will kill them, and the whole floor is covered with hoppers. So it collects all the loot from the fish that fall down, and then feeds the loot into these chests here, so that we can then collect prismarine and prismarine shards, prismarine crystals, things like that, ink sacs, so that we can eventually get a bunch of loot from fish. And as you can see, there's some out here. They're not very happy with us, but they can't get to us because there's glass. And that is our guardian farm there. Now below our guardian farm, we also have one other room. This is what we call the shooting gallery. And the shooting gallery is basically a very large open space. It took us a very long time to dig this out. And it's not very well lit. What we'll do is we'll spread the redstone torches around so it's just enough that we can see the bad guys. and then we can farm whatever kind of monsters we want to inside the shooting gallery. We'll usually use arrows to do it, though sometimes we'll use swords if we're feeling particularly feisty. And to get down to the shooting gallery floor, we take these stairs, and then just outside the shooting gallery, there is a little set of dirt blocks right there blocking the way out. And those dirt blocks lead to a train path over to Gale's house. So later on when we see Gale's house, that's where the path comes from. And apparently we've got a guardian flopping around inside our playroom floor, so someplace there's a hole. No fish yet. It's okay. Aw, somebody planted roses. So let's go back to the castle. So there's several places that you can get to from the sewers. Eventually I'll probably fill all of these with water. But until then, this is kind of where they're at. And so I'm going to go back up to the inn, and I'll point out some of the other places you can get that to the sewer, but from above. So outside of the inn, we also have our stable, where we have our horses. And then we've got a few other shops and things like that in the area. Inside here we have our alchemist shop, and we have our cook shop over here. And just a couple of other places that you can go and visit. And then this is one of our accesses to the outside world again. This leads to the bridge to the end, and it essentially is a very long bridge that goes over past the volcano and ends up on the mainland someplace over there. Coming back out here, lots of villagers hanging about. Lots of houses for villagers through here that are just all, fairly standard houses. They're connected to each other through the roof. But they're mostly just homes for the villagers. And then over here, we have the bazaar. The bazaar is basically a trading post, but we have one of every trader trapped where we can get at them. And obviously there's a whole bunch of guys that like to hang out here. You can hear by the noise, I'm sure. Over here, we have the cemetery. The cemetery has several, tombstones. And then you have the crypt below the cemetery. This is all built by key, places where people's ashes remain. This is the royal tomb, and it has two large lions on each side and a sarcophagus in the middle. So I don't remember what's over here. This is a cave access of some kind. Yes, this is the preparation room for the bodies and the crematory for cremating the bodies. And we're back into the cemetery. So, under the steps of the castle, we have a bank. And if you go behind the bank, there's a little vault. We've got these equipment that's available for different people depending on what they need and what they're looking to build. Keep a few diamonds on hand for someone if they absolutely need them, but generally we try to make sure that this is just supply available for if someone needs it when they need it. So from here we'll go up towards the castle and gardens. Eventually I want to make this into the castle gardens, but heading up to the top into the first keep. Basically it's a large open room still. I've got some towers that I need to fill that are just pretty much empty towers all the way to the top. And then this comes out to the next level of what will soon be the expanded castle. It's going to be big. It's going to be great. You have the first house that I've built here, and there's not much in it yet. It's just a house, but it's got a front room. You can go upstairs to this little kind of sitting room. You can go downstairs to this room. It'll probably be like the dining room. You put a kitchen back here or something. And this kitchen actually has a secret if you go behind it. A staircase that goes down. And then, actually, if you break through this wall here, this is all the area that lies underneath. And we're going to make an underground city here, underneath the castle. So you'll have the castle above and the undercity below. That'll be really neat. So it'll take a while to get all that populated. But once we do, then it'll be really nifty. Going back upstairs. We'll go up to this room, and this will just be kind of a little common area. And then this leads up to the bedrooms. So you have a kind of master bedroom back here with a little window that you can look out. Some more windows over here. And then we'll put the bedroom set over there, and probably just some stuff out here as a common room. Over here you'll put some like chairs or something so people can look out the windows in the front of the house. And you've got an attic where you can put stuff that you want in the attic as well. This is so you don't fall down on that room. So this is the first house in the new section of the castle. The new section of the castle is fairly large. Going up the keep, you have this little room to the side in one of the towers. That's basically storage for all the blocks for constructing the castle and the tower. Big long walls that you can run on top of. And then if we go through the other side, you have access to this mini wall, which isn't quite done yet, but it shows you where the next area of the castle will be after that one. So I have a huge tower planned for over there. We're going to put a gladiator arena in it, and I'll fill in some of that area over there, and it'll be a pretty big castle by the time we're done. So another wall going over there, and probably cover a lot of that, make some more of the undercity. See, this castle is not quite done yet either. It's still under construction. We go up one more floor. You have my current nether portal, which once again later on we'll go and explore some of what we've done in the nether, but for the moment we're doing the overworld. Tower over here where you can peek out over the bay, which we haven't been down to the bay. I'll have to do that after we do this. But the castle just has a nice view over top, and then to actually get up to the balcony above the stairs, it's back here behind the nether portal. Out here, see the steps, see the village, the bay's down there. Eventually I'll put some more houses in through here. I have those kind of wood blocks marking where I intend to put them. And then there's some stuff below them. And if I go back through here and jump up, you can get kind of to the top of the tower as it is right now. So each of the 4 side towers are going to cap out at about this height, and then the central tower will go up a little bit higher, and I'll end up putting some floors inside the central tower and filling them with throne rooms and things like that. So you'll have lots of cool stuff inside of it. You just have to get time to build it all, and it takes a lot of time to build this stuff, especially when you have to mine up everything that's used to build it. It takes a long time. So we do have some places where we can access the roofs and run around from rooftop to rooftop. There are all sorts of places like we have alleys where at the end of the alley there's a grate that you can open up and it goes to the sewers and places like that. As a matter of fact, there's one right down there if I remember right. And then down there we have the bay, and the bay you get at from over here. So here's where that big bazaar was. And here's the steps down to the bay. The bay basically has a lot of stalls where eventually we'll trap some villagers to act as vendors at the stalls. It looks like Creeper must have damaged our bridge. There's supposed to be a block there. I'll fix that later. But a bunch of stalls and some area that's carved out behind them. And, a big gateway where normally a ship would come through or something like that. There's the sewer coming out right there. You can actually run to there on the back side of the sewer and see from the other side of the grate. Down here we have another inn that's for people to stay in. They're coming in off the ships. And there's the iron portcullis that you can drop to protect the place. In reality, you can't actually move it, but in a real world you would be able to. So now, if we come over here, there's this one door with a metal button. Push it, and basically that lets us in this space. And this will take us back down to the castle. So hit the button. Not back down to the bottom of the tower. So these buildings up here on the right are fake buildings. They basically look like buildings, but they are flat. There's nothing behind those windows except for blocks of coal to black out the windows. So those ones are fake. Takes us across the castle. And down we go. Round and round, all the way to the bottom. I think faster jumping this way. Of course, on the spot. There we go. So once again, we come out into the underground at level 5, where it's cleared out a lot of space. And now we're back to my smelting room.